Hey YouTube, this is Dean making another vid. If you like my content, please consider hitting the like button. Also, please consider subscribing, as it is very much appreciated. Okay, I mentioned on a couple of videos that I use a block plane, and a Stanley No.4 plane for processing my fatwood. I used to use a knife, but once I went over to this, I basically don't use a knife anymore. I don't think the knives give you anywhere near as good a curl as these planes. These little block planes are fantastic. I bought this from the market. I bought both of them from the markets, I think. No, I bought that one from the market. I bought this one from eBay, I think. Weren't expensive. This one was about $30. I think this one was about the same price. Fantastic little old tools. They are brilliant. Now, I'd probably do it a bit dangerous. The best way to do it would be to put it in a vise with wooden jaws and then process it that way. I don't have a vise with wooden jaws, so I just hold it in my hand and hope for the best without cutting myself. Haven't cut myself so far, but you do you and I do me. If I cut myself, I cut myself, but I haven't done so far. I try to be as safe as possible, but yeah, I probably will end up cutting myself, but that's the way it goes. I just get my fatwood and basically start processing it as best I can and get the curls going. And as you can see, as soon as you start processing it, you start getting really nice depending on where you do it. It doesn't take long, but you get brilliant processed curls. This stuff is about the best processed fatwood you can get. It burns fiercely and hot, and it doesn't last long, but yeah, it'll take a spark very well. I didn't bring a ferro rod out to show you, but it mainly was about how these block planes or little No.4s process these fatwoods up. Look at that's that Woolworths Big W fatwood. It's beautiful fatwood, and you just keep going until you have enough fatwood. I don't process a lot of it. I usually just process it as I need it. I do have a little bit on hand just so that if I need to practice, I've got a bit on hand. As you can see, a couple of minutes of work and I have enough for Fatwood Friday. I would probably do a little bit more than that. That's not really enough to fill my manger, but it's getting close. I'd go up to about there, and that's not even a third of a stick. And I'm starting to get down into the really nice, good stuff, the orange stuff, and it's so easy. This one's just the same. Turn it around and nice, beautiful, thin, long. clean it out. And there you have almost enough fatwood for a Fatwood Friday burn. If you couldn't get a fire started with that, a couple of minutes of processing and it burns fiercely. Granted, doing it this way makes it burn very fiercely, but it's probably the best way I've found of processing the fatwood. I found with knives, even the sharpest knife tends to make the curls a little bit too thick, like when you're feathering them out, where the plane really does a good job at making these beautiful thin curls, beautiful thin curls of fatwood, and they just burn with a fierceness and vigorously and fierceness that makes fatwood fires perfect. And you combine that with a little bit of Smith's and it's really easy. And I found even as I showed with 2 for Tuesday today, even without the Smiths, these curls will take a spark reasonably easy. So yeah, that's my big tip if you really want to get into doing this. Buy a vintage plane. They're not expensive. The newer ones, yeah, you're going to pay a bit of money. I saw the newer Stanleys are about $100, and honestly, I wouldn't pay that much for them, because I think I'm very sure I paid $35 for that, and I paid about the same for that one. Yeah, the old Stanleys, I didn't have to do anything with these. They were restored old tools from an old tool maker, a tool restorer. There's actually a bloke that I bought many a Wiltshire file of. So yeah, he just restored old tools, and yeah, he's a nice bloke, and just had a whole heap of these Stanley tools, the Stanley files, and I thought, oh, I'll get this one and the little block plane. I think I prefer the block plane because yeah, it's a little bit easier to use. Have a look at the resin in that. It's just solid resin. It's beautiful. Yeah, I think I would prefer the little block plane because it's a little bit easier to use, and it's a little bit easier just to scrape down and get those big long curls that I really like to add into my Fatwood Friday, So, and then that's all I wanted. That's the sort of curl I want to do in my Fatwood Fridays, and that, because they just burn so well and do it without effort, like that's the thing. But yeah, if you really want to get into this sort of thing, I definitely suggest getting a plane just to process it like this. By all means, use your knife to break the fatwood blocks down into this stick form, and then use your plane to process it into the final bit. That's how I'd do it, and because you can always work around. Like people say, I always like using my knives. Yeah, well, just adapt. Adapt to it. Use your knife to I don't usually advocate battening, but with pine it's all right. It's a nice soft wood. You're not going to really break your knife. Break your fatwood knots and all that. Break it down into manageable bits, and then use your plane to get your curls. And then that's a way of then you got the best of both worlds. You're using your plane and you're using your knife. So yeah. Anyway, I thought I'd make a video on that. Definitely have a look at yard sales. Definitely have a look around on eBay and that. You don't need to go. I've got a couple, but I could probably have got away with just the one little block plane. Yeah, just have a look around yard sales, markets, eBay. Put in Stanley block plane or vintage Stanley planes. See what you look, and don't spend a lot of money on them. They definitely don't need to be. You don't need to spend a lot of money on it to get a quality tool. This is a made in England Stanley No.4. You know, she's a beautiful old tool. She's got a lot of life left in her. So yeah, you know, it's a nice tool. This block plane Stanley. I don't know if this one's made in England or not. It doesn't say. But yeah, it's got a hell of a lot of life left in it. It's a nice tool. So yeah. But anyway, that's how I process my fatwood to get the curls that I do. Yeah, I see Gerbs. He does. I'm pretty sure he puts his in it's either Gerbs or Dominic Minichetti. I think they put them in a vise with wooden soft jaws, and then plane it, and that would be the safest way and the best way to get really long, big curls. That'd be fantastic. But I don't have a vise that has a vise that I can set up with soft jaws just to do that. So yeah, at some stage I think I will set up a vise for that, because I think that'd be the best way of doing it, and getting those big long curls. But I'm having pretty good success so far. These short little curls seem to burn very well, and I'm having good success with it. Anyway, thanks for watching.